So let's talk about Lag Bomer. שיר המעלות לדוד, הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. It's a pasuk from Tehillim. It says, David HaMelech says, it's so good and pleasant to sit all the brothers together. This pasuk, the reason why it's connected with Lag Bomer, because there's a famous story about Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai that one time there wasn't in Eretz Israel there's no rain sometimes. I mean the rain is ups and downs. There are ups and downs. So they came to Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, and they asked him to do something, to pray. He didn't pray. He did one thing. He said this pasuk, this verse, and he just said this verse. That's it, and the rain started coming. This is what sets Rashbi apart from other.
Choni Amagel had to stand in the cycle for hours.
Right, Choni Amagel, he prayed, he insisted. Basically, there's a lot of analysis between different tzaddikim that perform different miracles, specifically with rain.
This is from Psalm 33?
From no, 133.
133.
Yeah. So he did it just saying a verse. So a lot of Hasidic discourses explains that it's not just any verse, and it's just and there's reasoning behind it, because who was Rashbi and why was he able to just say a verse and bring it down. Okay, so but anyway, this is a pasuk, this is a verse that became connected, one of the things that became connected to Rashbi and to Lag Bomer. The previous Rebbe is talking about this pasuk, this verse. Says, what does it mean, Shevet Achim? Shevet Achim, it means that brothers, people sit together with the brotherhood and love. So what's the need? What is the need to add the word together? Because Shevet Achim is already comes to say that we sit together. So he explains that brothers. It says in the pasuk, brothers. The true concept of brothers has to do. It really applies to the neshamot, to the souls. The souls really connects as brothers. And more specifically, the two souls of a bride and a groom and a bride, which is the female soul, the male soul and female soul. And if you're asking yourself, is there such a thing? Yes, there is. There is a male and female souls. So I guess male and female soul, or brothers, or all of these things, here in our world, sometimes we see a glimpse of what it is. But the souls, for the souls, the truth, the world of truth, we call it Olam HaEmet. So there, it's real. The souls are really brothers and sisters, or there's a connection of a bride of a groom in a divine way, in a true way, no ego, no things like that. True connection, through brotherhood, through love, and so on. Again, it finds when the soul is in the body. So there are sometimes the soul bursts through. And then you see the evidence of those things. I mean, you understand that above, how much more so it is above. But anyway, the true connection is there. ושבט אחים הוא הקירוב וההתקשרות שלהם בכישורי תנאים. And here in the pasuk it says shevet achim, and then it says yachad. It says brothers that sit together, and then it says, brothers that sit together of brothers, and then it says together. So it implies to the sitting of brothers has to do with the engagement, or the engagement party, and then together it's the marriage. The engagement specifically, I mean, there are a few different concepts. So actually, engagement is not accurate. There is what we call vote. A vote. A vote. It means that the two parties, families or parents, sometimes sits together, and they commit to each other after they talk about the details. They talk about the details. That, okay, I agree to give them apartment for a year, let's say, or I agree to give that kind of money, whatever, to allow that to happen, to make that happen. So some people call it engagement. It sounds right, I mean, engagement. But I mean, some make another thing that is called engagement, whatever. But the idea is that the first. So usually in this kind of thing, in the vote party, like people make agreements party. So it's a time that people are happy and they love each other. You know, the first engagement, the families meet each other, and it's just such a nice party. But it's not a party. Like there's no. It's not like marriage. Marriage is a true physical connection between the husband and wife. So that's like more. That's another level of together. But the first engagement is also together. So the sitting of the brothers together, the brotherhood, this is the vote party. Shevet Achim, and then Yachad is the marriage. There is, to be more specific, there is Yachad and there is Ichud. Yachad, it means together, but Ichud, it means unity, to become one. To become one, it's an act that makes them to become one. What it says in the Mefarshim, that when a husband and wife comes together, so there is a child, and the child is really one that comes out of two. So, which that's the purpose of the Ichud. The Ichud is them coming one in order to have parts of both of them become one in the child. And then the previous Rebbe continues to, the Rebbe Rayatz continues to bring from the Zohar that those brothers that come together, it corresponds to God, to Kudsha Berichu, to Knesset Israel, to God and Am Israel. And specifically when we talk about Am Israel, it says Shevet Achim Gam Yachad. There's an addition of the word Gam. Why Gam? Because it refers to, it implies there is the Knesset Israel, which is the root of the souls, all of Am Israel together as one soul, which is a high concept. And then there is Am Israel down here in this world, the different souls, Am Israel. So Gam Yachad refers to both of them, the way it is above and the way it is below as well. Each one of them has an advantage, but the connection of Am Israel, generally speaking, with God, like a bride and a groom. יש לומר שהשייכות הפירוש שהאחים הם חתן וכלה עם מאמר הזוהר דקה על קודשא בריך הוא כנסת ישראל. What is the connection? What is the connection between bride and groom and then God and Am Israel, Hashem and Am Israel, is because the concept of bride and groom, the way it is down here, is really a manifestation of the true groom and bride, which is Hashem and Am Israel. And that's why he brings in this discourse what it says in the Zohar, that brothers are Hashem and Am Israel, because this is the foundation to explain that the brothers are the groom and the bride. Supposedly there is a place to add that the explanation in the Bomer, in the discourse that this discourse is based on, is founded on, is also, we can also see it between Am Israel themselves, among Am Israel. Like basically, we're talking about we open in here different relationships. We're talking about a bride and groom. That's the first thing we said. And then we said Am Yisrael and Hashem, Hashem and Am Yisrael, another type of relationship. And then now we're adding to it general relationship between Am Yisrael themselves, between Jews. So each one of those three, we study from one of them to the other one. Okay, if there are elements in one of them, we can copy paste that to the other, because all of those three corresponds to each other. We can learn one from the other.
Say the three again.
Bride and groom, God and Am Yisrael, and among Am Yisrael themselves, Jews between themselves. Individual Jews, but the way they connect, the way they bond.
Brothers, referring to the brother.
With all of those three, we call brothers. We call brotherhood, and which also there are two steps. There is like we said, the both party, the joy of being together, and then there is also something in each one of those three that we call ichud, meaning the comes also unity, which is more than together.
When you look at the word shevet, here it's the verb, but can you also think about a shevet as a tribe?
No, it's a different word.
It's spelled.
This is a taf. Here is a taf, and shevet, a tribe, is tet.
Right, but from the sod interpretation of if it sounds the same.
Okay, it's true.
It is a similar concept as well. I mean, it's one of the three that he listed. It's the third one he listed. The tribe was the third one.
The tribe, together. Okay. It's true that technically you can replace the tet and the taf. It's true. So in each one of those three, there is the two steps, the two stages or the two levels of unity, of connection. So that means that in Am Yisrael also there is the connection, the bond between Jews is in two steps. One in a level of being together, and two in a level that becoming one. ועל פי זה יש לומר, זה שמביא במאמר פירוש הזוהר דשבת אחים גם יחד, קאי על הייחוד לקודש הבריך וכנסת ישראל, הוא כי בכדי שהאהבה והאחווה בישראל תהיה באופן דיחד, דוגמת הייחוד הנישואין, הוא על ידי גילוי הייחוד לישראל עם קודש הבריך. Now, in order, Am Yisrael, more or less, so we're one people, and it's easier to think that we are one in a level of the first level. We have a bond, we're happy with each other, we love to be together, and all of that. But in order to reach the level of unity, that we become one, like marriage that brings a child, that the child is absolute, it's one that comes out of two. To become one in that level, in order to make that happen, the way to get there is by revealing the unity of that level that we have, that Am Yisrael has with Hashem. In order to come to true unity among us, we should first find the unity, the true unity that we have with Hashem. Okay, that's the way to manifest unity of the higher level, which is the highest level, kind of, maybe the highest level, or just a higher level among Jews. It's very interesting, you have those people that, among Am Yisrael, you have, in this, right now in this context, we can see two types of extreme. There are people that are very much into type of laws, of commands that are between a Jew and God. Like they pray all day and study all day, and all of those mitzvot. But when it comes to other Jews, okay, even those mitzvot, maybe they do it because God says and all of these things, but you don't see. And then you have the other type of Jews that they're like, they don't want to know anything about God. It's just you have to be a good person. That's all. Just be good to people, That's it. You did your thing. Now, both of them are equally wrong. Okay. And here we see the Rebbe refers to the type of people that says just be a good person, and the Rebbe explains that only like just being a good person, you're not going to be able to reach that level of unity with the other Jew. Okay, only if you find the connection with Hashem, then you can reach a higher level of unity with another Jew. Okay, so. It's not enough to put an effort just toward the friend. Okay? יש לבאר גם מה שהכתוב ממשיך לשבת אתכם גם יחד, הוא כשמן הטוב על הראש, יורד על הזקן, זקן הארון שיורד על פי מידותיו. The verse continues. After Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai only said these words. He said this pasuk, this first one. But this verse comes in a certain context. So, the next verse after it continues like this. It says it's like the good oil that falls on the head and licks on the beard of Aharon, which the beard of Aharon had a long beard, and the oil went till like till the end of it. Of course, it's a symbolic thing. It comes to כי בכדי שהייחוד לקודש הבריך הוא בישראל יפעל בישראל, האהבה והאחווה אמיתית עד באופן דיחד, הוא על ידי ירידת והמשכת שמן הטוב כדלקמן. In order for that unity with God to bring the unity, the true unity among us, among Jews, it has to do with this good oil that has to come down from above the head till the end of the beard. And we'll get there later. In order to understand the whole thing over here, we want to make a preface. Okay, this preface, I actually made it already, but in this order, he brings here the story. It's a story from the Zohar, that one time the world needed rain, so they came to Rashbi, Shimon Bar Yochai, and by saying this pasuk, this verse, "Hine matov u'manaim shevet achim gem yachad," came rain. The rain started from. And we know that there's a discussion about it, that rain usually has to do with praying. Usually in the stories that Am Yisrael didn't have rain and they did something to get rain. So first of all, there's a lacha that when there's no rain for a long time, so they make fasts day and they add 6 blessings to Shmoneh Esrei, and that's the way officially that we're supposed to bring rain. Fast and more praying. And also we know the story with Chonia Me'agel, that he made a circle and he stood in it and he prayed. But Rashbi made it happen with no effort, effortless. He just said this pasuk and it came down. So how can we understand it? So the prayer, to pray, which is really connecting to Hashem after a person is disconnected or relatively disconnected, the connection came loose. So we strengthening the connection with prayer require effort. Prayer is work. I'm saying prayer in English, it's not, prayer is like asking, requesting. But tefillah, in Hebrew, tefillah, it means connection. And connection, in order to connect, it requires effort. Without effort, it's not going to happen. Like, think about another person. If you want to make a good connection with another person, you have to put effort in it. You have to, you're creating a bond, you're creating a connection. You have to really be into it and really care about it and really make a difference. So the connection will be made. And in other words, the concept of prayer, of connecting, of tefillah, is to come from below to above. To coming from a point of lack, from a point of lack to a point of achieving. Okay, so that is work. That's why in order for the work of prayer, of connection, of the ones that are below, the ones that, like the people that are far from God, so to speak, in order for them to arouse God and to bring down Geshem, and by the way, Geshem in Hebrew, Geshem is rain, but Geshem also stands for Gashmius. Gashmius means all of the physical needs, or anything that you can see, or you can, anything that you can grasp even, and you feel that you lack of that, you have a lack of that. So to bring that down, it usually comes through prayer. And it says in the Gemara that the root of everything, of all of our physical needs, or any need, all of our needs, is from above. The root of everything we need is from above, is above our ability to get there step by step. There's no step-by-step guide today there's many people that will give you step-to-step guide, like how to be successful and how to do this and just do that and do that. But according to the Gemara, it doesn't work like that. Okay, the key to success it's in the hand of God. The key to abundance and all of these things is in God's hands. So how do you do it? If it's not a step-by-step guide, how do you do that? You have to put an effort. When you put an effort to connect to God, to reach, to connect to God, you put an effort. So then you open God's heart, and God gives you. God gives. God opens up. But anyway, the point is that there has to be a special effort. But Rashbi, and special effort, when you have to work, when you have to put an effort, we call it work. In Hebrew, it's called avodah. And avodah is tefillah. Tefillah, to work from below to above. Now, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai brought down rain through saying Torah. And Torah is from above to below, which is the opposite of prayer. And that's why he didn't need to put an effort. He didn't need to work or put an effort. And he doesn't elaborate so much. Later he will talk about more about the difference between Torah and Tefillah. We explain some more about Tefillah, less about Torah. What does it mean above to below, which is the opposite of Tefillah. We'll get soon to it. But let's go in the order of what he says here. והטעם על זה, שרשב"י דווקא, and so why Rashbi specifically is the type of person that could have done it, that was able to do it, to bring down rain using saying of Torah. Because to bring down rain to the world, specifically after there was a, how do you call it, batzoret? Drought. After there was a drought, obviously it's a miracle, meaning it's creating a change in the order of things. In nature, like according to nature, there's no rain. There's no possibility of having rain. And either way, to make it's making a difference. And usually, to make a difference in the world has to do with prayer, with davening, with connection, meaning to put an effort. To make a change that otherwise wouldn't be made, usually you have to put an effort. Otherwise the change will not happen. But in the case of Rashbi, even in his Torah, even in the way he learned Torah, his engagement with Torah was different than other people's engagement with Torah. I mean, usually Torah, he will explain soon, but usually Torah, what is Torah? Torah, what it means, Torah is instructions. That's what it means in Hebrew. That's the meaning of it. So usually when you hear instructions, all you have to do is to be as quiet as possible and to quiet yourself inside, to be attentive, to listen to what you are told, and as you listen in a better way, you know what to do okay, or you know, or you understand more, or you get it more. But to be a good student, that itself is an art. But the art of being a student is to be like you're not to be passive or to be like it's an art. It's like actively to be passive, to to empty yourself and to. So you listen to the instructions. You know, people. You know how it is. Those people. Attentiveness. Those that in the army, you know, they do other things. Then they don't know what to do. Torah is instructions from above. Torah came from above, and what we have to do is to just to get that, and that it's an art for itself. But it's not the effort that we put in is not like we make an effort. We do something, we add something, we change something. It's just not to think that you need to do something. The opposite. I'm listening. I'm listening. I'm fully listening. I'm not thinking about something else. I'm not thinking of doing something else. I'm just here. I'm just listening. That's Torah. Yeah, Alavai, right? It's hard, but that's Torah. Torah is, if you could think about the person that is the most probably will be the best, you know, Torah scholar, is probably a person that is. It has not, when he learns Torah, he has nothing else he doesn't have anything in his head other than the Torah that he learns. He doesn't. It could be. I mean, and maybe I don't know if there's such a person that really doesn't have anything else in his life. But at least when he learns Torah, even for 5 minutes or 2 minutes, that is there. He's learning Torah. That's Torah. Torah is receiving from above. So basically, in Torah, there's no engagement. That we might think, but for Rashbi, the way Rashbi learned Torah, he had the advantage of tefillah in Torah, in his Torah. And that's why, because of the advantage of tefillah that is there, that's why he was able to bring down rain using Torah. So now we have to understand that. Ba'inyan, the difference between Torah and tefillah is like it's the same as the difference between blessing and tefillah, bracha and tefillah. The difference between Torah and tefillah corresponds to the difference between blessing and tefillah. Tefillah, we say, is from below to above, meaning the davener, the one that is praying, is below, meaning he's in a low position. He's missing something. He's lacking something. He even just lacking the fact that he's not connected. That itself is a lack. He feels in a place of disadvantage, and he requests that from above, whoever it is that is above, ultimately we're talking about Hashem himself, he requests that he will be given shefa, he will be given abundance and so on from above. But what is a bracha? What is a blessing? A blessing is from above to below, meaning the one that gives a blessing to another is a person that has the ability, that has the koach, the ability to bless. And the same as it says in the Torah about Avraham Avinu, Abraham, that Hashem told him, I give you the power to bless. Hashem gave Avraham the power to bless, and he handed over to Yitzchak, and Yitzchak handed over to Yaakov. Meaning, the ability to bless is being above the root of the actual blessing, and to bring that blessing down, to make the blessing happen. Basically, you can have two types of people. Let's say you have a person that he wants to reach somewhere, he wants to get something done, and he has no clue how to make it happen. So in our language over here, we'll call this person, we'll call him, is totally below it. It is trying to climb up, but it doesn't see how that can happen. So in other words, it doesn't feel, or really doesn't have the power to make it happen. And then you have a type of a person that is above that. He knows exactly how to make it happen. So ultimately, the one that has the power to bless, to give a blessing, ultimately would be the person that has the ability, just by saying it, he makes it happen. That's the bracha, that's what it means, a blessing. That he makes it happen. And that's why a blessing is done in a way of a command. Because the one that gives the blessing is above the root of the blessing itself. And that's why he has the ability to command. Basically, to give a blessing, it means to command something to happen. To command that to happen.
Changing the natural order?
Huh?
Changing the natural order?
Okay, so it's a good question. No,
Okay.
it's not changing the natural order. That's davening. Praying, we'll get there now. Praying changes the natural order. But blessing doesn't change the natural order. What it does, sometimes there are certain things that they are there, in potential, let's say, but will never come out. The blessing make them come out.
Turn to the
Okay? It's like, think about your kid, let's say, that you look at him and you know that he can do it. But he says, I can't do it. I don't want to do it. So what are you going to do? You're going to do it. Do it. Do it. Do it. You push him. And if you really know and you're sure and certain about yourself, and you get him to do it, then he will do it. And then he will be, wow, he will be amazingly happy he was able to do it. But the truth is, it's not you, it's him. He could have done it, but he didn't know. So that's what a blessing does. A blessing reveals something that is hidden. So the
rain was there, it was just hidden?
Okay, we'll get that. You're talking about the specific story. But right now we're analyzing the difference between Torah, Tefillah, and Bracha, and then we'll get to this, to connect it to our story. But basically, to give a blessing, it means that when a person comes to a tzaddik, to a righteous person, he says, give me a blessing. I want to have kids. So the tzaddik is looking, oh, there's your kid right there. It's like, and he gives you the blessing. Meaning he sees it, and he gives you the blessing. He made the first step, basically, for that to manifest, to come into real. But he was there. He was there. He didn't make it happen. Depends. I mean, if you're talking about purely a bracha, a blessing, maybe he didn't see it. He didn't see an ability to have a kid, the ability, the potential. He didn't see. So that in that way, he will have to daven. He will have to pray for it. That's another. It's a possibility, but it's not blessing now. Now it's going to be a prayer. That's the difference between a blessing and a prayer. And if it's a blessing, so then he's going to say it to you in a way of a command. He will give you a blessing. You will have a child. Okay? But if not, then he's going to have to pray for you. Okay, let's say the Rebbe says, I will pray for it. The Rebbe says it. I will pray for you. I will pray for you. Then he will have to, he's not commanding it, because it's not there. Naturally, it can't happen. So he will have to pray. When he prays, praying, changing the order of nature. That's the power of prayer. That something otherwise would never happen, cannot happen. According to nature, impossible to happen. But when you pray, you really pray. The ability of prayer is to change realities, to change the nature, to create a new thing, that otherwise never would happen.
So if it's outside of nature, would you call that? Let's say the Rebbe prays for someone to have a child. He doesn't see the child.
Right.
Now, what he's created is a miracle because it's outside of nature, right?
Right. Prayer creates miracles.
Okay.
I mean, God is almighty. Everything is possible for God himself.
Right.
But on the other hand, without prayer, God already has a pre-planned for the world.
Right.
So according to the plan, it would never happen. But God prays. But a person can pray and change everything.
The natural order. Okay.
Change the natural order. בעניין הברכה הוא להמשיך מה שכבר נמצא בהמקור ולא דבר חדש, ועניין התפילה הוא בקשה מהקדוש ברוך הוא, שגם באם לא ישנה חס ושלום ההשפעה גם במקור, ולא עוד אלא שנגזר עליו, it could be, there's two levels in prayer. It could be that it's not in the plan. So a person prays and changes the plan. But it could be that Hashem intentionally, so to speak, decreed on that person to whatever it is, to be sick or not to have a child or things like that. And even then, and then the prayer should be even from a deeper place, but prayers can change that as well, as we can see, like we said, Tachnun, for example. In prayer, in davening, we have Shmoneh Esrei, which we ask Hashem for things. And then we have Tachnun, where we beg. There is asking and there is begging. Basically, some things you don't even have to ask. It will come in natural order. Some things you have to push, still not asking, but just pushing for it, because you know it's about to happen, it can happen, you push. Some things you have to ask. If you ask, it's going to happen. If you're not asking, it's not going to happen. And some other things you have to beg. When you have to beg? When the other person, let's say, or God, decided not to do it, or intentionally decided it, then you have to beg.
But you can change it.
You can change.
Begging's good then? Begging has power?
Begging is the highest power. It's like begging is the turbo. Begging is the master key. If nothing else works, then you go into begging mode, and
There's your answer.
it's a big thing. But sometimes you have to also know who to beg to. Sometimes you go to the one that doesn't have the power to help you. It's not going to help if you're going to beg.
The one God does, though.
So if you go to the right address,
Yeah.
you can beg to the email address to be right, and then you send it, but it's not the right email address. It's not going to help you. Okay?
How about the one God? Begging the one God?
Begging the one God, that's
Is that a
it.
good address?
Yeah.
The only address.
It says in the Gemara that the reason why we're talking about rain, there's a story in the Gemara about, I think, Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Yehuda, I think. One time there wasn't any rain. They came to him. He didn't even do that. You know what he did? He just took off his shoe. Just took it off. Just started to take off his shoe, came rain. He started to take off the shoe, came rain. So they asked in the Gemara, like, as an act of starting to do something about it. But he didn't even get to do anything that you might think as a real thing to do. So they asked the Gemara, how come we do so much and nothing happened, and them, in their generations, it just, it was time to take off his shoe and it already happened. So they said, because we don't daven to the right address. We don't know how to daven. And that's why we have so much Hasidus today, nowadays, because it's realigning ourselves. Because we see it, how we could put so much effort and nothing happens. And in previous generation, they used to put in much less effort, and everything happened for them. I mean, relatively speaking, right? Mashiach. So they say because they knew how to
Focus.
on the right thing. I mean, they knew who they davened to. And to say it, it's the story of all of the spheres and how to get to the one God and pray to the one God. Really.
With the right kavanah.
That it has to do with the right kavanot. Yeah. I don't think it's a big thing. When you say kavanot, it sounds like Arizal. We have to learn many books. It's a process. Every individual has how do you say it, a private way of his own, but he has to go inside of himself.
It has to come down.
Yeah, he has to know his different. Like basically, it's like balancing. Okay, you can, like people that we think that God is good. Let's pray to God. It's not enough. Sometimes. Because God also expects from us different things. So you have to know the whole spectrum and like the bigger picture, and then you see the God that's above all of that. If you think that half of the world is not, some religions or people think that there is God and there is the devil, for example. According to us, we can't think like that. We must know that the devil himself comes from God. If there is something that we call devil, it comes from God as well. So it's part of a bigger picture. The whole thing, everything is one, is unity. Is unity. Now that when you take under account everything, then you pray the God above, the real God, the God that is really above all, then that's powerful. But when you pray to the God that is only the God of A, B, C, but not D, E, F, G, that's not God. For example, okay? Basically to see the real owner, to pray to the real owner, the true owner that is the owner of everything. Good and bad, dark and light. That's the real God. Not a God that is like, only on the parts that you think that a God should be above. Basically to ignore other aspects and say, oh, that's not God, or that's not from God, or that's just happened. But you have to really make God in your mind, in your heart, a king over everything. Everything comes from God. Even things that someone might say, this is from God, I can believe it. This is from the devil. This is not happening. I don't even believe it's happening. When a person is not in full recipients of God, basically, because it's all from God. So when a person is not fully receiving or accepting absolutely everything and saying that everything is absolutely from that one God, whether I understand it or not, or I want to understand it or not, then he prays to one God. Then he prays to the one. He prays to the real God. And then that's basically generally the kavanah that we're talking about. And everybody can do it. But it's a matter of preparing yourself. Because if you come to daven, wait a second. If you come to daven very fast, you can go, oh, it's daven, and you daven. The preparation to daven is to take everything under account. Is to say, I'm praying to the real God that is above everything. These two, and these two, and these two, and these two, everything. And then you pray. Then you pray. Then you realize that you're really in the hands of God. You understand that you feel that we are totally, absolutely only in the hands of God. Then your prayer is also different. You really pray from your heart. Because, okay, you understand? Because when there are things that you think that's not from God, those are the things that you don't want to accept. So you just pray to the nice, comfortable God, and those things you're taking care of yourself, or you're ignoring, or whatever. But when you understand that, yes, this, what you don't like, when you really care about it, there's nothing you can do about it, this is coming from God, intentionally, like everything else, you feel small, you feel like you're nothing, and God is big.
So I've been trying to do this. So yesterday, the whole sewer system backed up into our house. So every day I'm trying to meditate, everything is coming from Hashem. So this was like the ultimate test. The whole house flooded with the sewer system.
It is.
Into our
It
house.
is.
It's like, okay, can I get to a place where this too is from Hashem?
Right.
And for the good, too.
Right.
Well, that's why we're supposed to pray whatever we receive. Whether we think it's good or bad, we thank Hashem for
We should
what
receive
we get.
it. We should accept. We should accept it as coming from God. Well, we have the power to pray. We do have the power to pray. We can ask God to change it. When you come to a person that you don't really think that he can help you, or you don't really think because it's not in his hands, so you're not really asking. But when you know that this person, if that person will want to help you, then you're good. And that's the only way you can go. If, let's say, if a person, it's not a person, we're talking about God, but as example, let's say in your mind, so then the way you're going to ask them, the way you're going to beg, it's going to be totally different. If you feel in your mind that, okay, I can ask them, but I'm not sure if they even can help me. Or I can ask them, but then I'll do another thing on my own. Things like that, when you're not totally dependent, then you don't really feel dependent. So then it's a different way of, it's a different prayer.
So my understanding was that Rashi was able to do things, so there was a
We didn't get,
Oh, okay.
Be'ezrat Hashem, on Thursday we'll finish the manual. It's just two parts we'll make it.
Because there's this thing where it was Moshe and Shlomo Amalek, and Rashbi was able to do things higher than Moshe and Shlomo.
In a way, yeah, in a way.
Same Hoshama.
It's explained, right, in a way.
Same neshama.
Okay, it's a different aspect, yeah. No. Let me finish this piece, and then for today. So, and that's why davening, in davening we have what we say Yehi Ratzon. Say Yehi Ratzon. What does it mean Yehi Ratzon? Yehi Ratzon, it means that we ask Hashem to come with a new will, to change, to make a new will, because everything starts with the will.
That's the last line in Shmonas.
Right. Right. Which means.
The Mikdash.
Right. הטעם על זה שהמשכת רוח חדש ובית התפילה דווקא כי למעשה... So now, if a person is going to ask why God would change anything, what is the reason that God would change something? So the answer is, there's a pasuk that says that למעשה ידיך תחשוף, meaning that God yearns for us to ask, and then He will change. And in order for us to understand that, it's like when you make something with your own hands, when there's something that you made, there's kind of a joy, there's a certain type of joy, that is something that you made has a mind of its own, and is asking things. And then, because it's part of you, you made it, you enjoy, you want to change your idea for that. We can relate to that with kids. Okay, people today, they build robots and stuff like that, like softwares. And when the software does something that is like, they made what they made, but then the software goes to the next level or something like that, or let's say it reaches a new company and they take it, they give it a twist to another thing. They have joy from it. You have joy from it. That something you've done continues and grows. So the same also in general. So we like kids that they ask things from us, and we have that joy to give them. We want them to ask. We want them to care, and then we will change our will and mind for them. But they have to ask. They have to care. If they don't care, we have our own plan. We go the way we go. So that's the secret. This pasuk lema'aseh yadecha tichsof, the fact that God enjoys us to care and ask, because He has joy from it. That's the secret of why prayer works altogether. So I'll summarize, and then next time we'll continue from this point. So we brought this pasuk, שיר המעלות לדוד, אין מה טוב מנעים שלכם יחד. Cases of fact, 3 relationships. We said that in order to create true unity, a higher level, a form of unity in Am Israel, which is the third aspect, we need the concept of the good oil we talked about, and then we said about the difference between prayer and Torah, that prayer make a new will, make a difference. And Torah is not about that. So how come Rashbi was able to bring down, to make a change through Torah? Because he has the aspect, the element of prayer in his Torah. And then we explained the difference between bracha and tefillah, blessing and prayer, which is kind of equal to the difference between Torah and tefillah. Bracha and Torah both comes from above to below, and tefillah comes from below to above. Each one of them has an advantage that the other one doesn't have. And then we explain a little bit more why tefillah works. What is the secret that tefillah will work? Because we're made out of God, and God has this yearning for us to ask, for us to change, for us to have a mind of our own and asking something that we want and we care about, and He has the joy to change it from the original plan. Okay, so we'll continue by Hashem on Thursday, 11 o'clock.